On September 18, 2001, just 7 days after the Twin Towers fell, a powdery substance arrived in the mailrooms of two major media companies, ABC News in New York and CBS News in Boca Raton, Florida. The letters, postmarked from Trenton, New Jersey, carried a simple, chilling message. "You are trying to blackmail us. You will pay for this. Death to America, death to Israel. Allah is great." Within days, a third letter, identical in its terrifying contents, was sent to NBC News. This was not a drill. The nation, still reeling from the shock of September 11th, found itself facing a new, insidious threat, one that burrowed into the very fabric of American life, delivered through the ordinary channel of the United States Postal Service. The mail, once a symbol of connection and communication, had become a vector for terror. The fear was palpable, spreading faster than any biological agent. The true horror began to manifest on October 2nd, when an assistant to Tom Brokaw, the NBC nightly news anchor, tested positive for anthrax. Soon after, another NBC employee fell ill. The letters themselves contained a highly refined form of Bacillus anthracis, the bacterium that causes anthrax. But the full scale of the attack only became clear on October 5th, when Robert Stevens, a 63-year-old photo editor for the Sun newspaper in Boca Raton, died. He was the first victim. His wife and two colleagues also became infected. The strain of anthrax used was weaponized, fine-tuned to become an inhalational hazard, far more deadly than naturally occurring strains. This wasn't random contamination, it was a deliberate, sophisticated act of biological warfare, and America was in its crosshairs. The public health response was immediate but overwhelmed, as the nation grappled with the realization that its own mail system could be used as a weapon of mass destruction. The subsequent weeks saw a terrifying escalation. Letters containing anthrax spores were mailed to Senate Majority Leader Tom Daschle and Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Patrick Leahy, as well as to a hospital in New York and a mail processing facility in Hamilton, New Jersey. Over 27,000 people were potentially exposed, leading to widespread panic and a massive public health and law enforcement effort. Mail facilities were shut down, postal workers were tested, and millions of envelopes were treated with radiation or incinerated. The FBI, in conjunction with the U.S. Postal Inspection Service and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, launched what would become known as Operation Amerithrax, one of the largest investigations in FBI history. Resources were poured into tracing the letters, identifying the perpetrator, and understanding the source of the deadly biological agent. The sheer scale of the operation highlighted the unprecedented nature of this attack. The investigation quickly focused on a former scientist at the U.S. Army's Biological Weapons Research Facility at Fort Detrick, Maryland, named Dr. Bruce Ivins. For years, Ivins had worked with anthrax strains, including the Ames strain, the same one used in the attacks. He had access, the knowledge, and according to some, the motive. He was reportedly facing disciplinary action and potential loss of his research funding. Investigators meticulously gathered evidence, including genetic analysis of the anthrax spores, which showed a unique characteristic linking them to Ivins's lab. However, the case against him was circumstantial. Despite extensive efforts to find direct evidence, such as a confession or a recovered weapon, a definitive smoking gun remained elusive. The complexities of biological evidence and the passage of time complicated the pursuit of absolute certainty in the investigation. In July 2008, the Department of Justice announced that Bruce Ivins was the sole perpetrator of the anthrax attacks. However, before charges could be filed, Ivins died by suicide in his Maryland home, leaving behind a scientific legacy and a cloud of unanswered questions. The announcement of his sole responsibility was met with skepticism by some victims' families and independent scientists, who pointed to inconsistencies in the evidence and the lack of a clear confession. The FBI's final report detailed the scientific evidence linking Ivins to the attacks, but the absence of direct proof and the perpetrator's death left a void. Was Bruce Ivins truly the sole architect of this devastating bioterror plot, or was he a fall guy in a larger, more complex conspiracy that the government has yet to fully disclose? The evidence presented was compelling, but not absolute. The Amerithrax case officially closed with the government's assertion that Bruce Ivins acted alone. Yet the lingering doubts persist. The letters were never recovered, the exact motive remained somewhat opaque, and the possibility of an accomplice or a foreign state actor's involvement has never been entirely dismissed by all parties. The attacks prompted a massive overhaul of US biodefense infrastructure and postal security, costing billions of dollars and forever changing how America viewed its own vulnerabilities. But the fundamental question remains: was the case truly solved? The scientific links are strong, but the absence of definitive proof leaves a critical gap. The anthrax attacks of 2001 stand as a stark reminder of how fragile security can be, and how even the most thorough investigations can leave fundamental truths obscured in the shadows of uncertainty. What really happened in the fall of 2001 remains for many a chilling enigma.